Hello everybody. Hello. Welcome. I'm Dan, your friendly fishmonger. Glad you could be with us here on this Wednesday evening. We do this every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. That's 9 Eastern for those that might be mountain challenged. We are going to get into it. We're going to talk some fish. I have some exciting news about the business. We're hiring a couple positions, so I'll tell you about that. And we're going to start, as we always do, however, with our shipping report. So, since I talked to you last week, we have sent out tons of fish, and here are the few problems we've had. One Royal Acara, one 3-line pencil, one auto sinkless, and 2 guppies. I believe they were koi tuxedo guppies, koi snakeskin tuxedo guppies, something like that. And that is all the problems we have confirmed. Now, Johnny did tell me just a little while ago that there are a couple customers that got some platinum rummy-nose, I believe it was, some rummy-nose. And there might have been some issues, so he's still trying to figure that out. We don't have all the information for that, so that'll be included on next week's shipping report. We generally get these figured up, a little bit before the live stream goes. So it's not completely up to date, but that, although that was more fish than we want to list, that is way below 1% losses. That is a tiny little fraction. So that makes me feel good. If you're one of those customers though that had a problem, I feel for you. I'm sorry. There's always going to be that little statistical bell curve end where there's going to be a problem on a very few fish, but we're way over 99% success since I last talked to you, and that makes me feel great, especially since, in my opinion, this is the hardest season to ship fish, because temperatures might be warm during the day but really cold at night, and they might go through vast swings. There's vastly different temperatures all over the nation, and so calculating, kind of doing the little art/science of figuring out the right heat pack combinations to go in those boxes is tricky, and it's hard to nail it perfect. So sometimes the boxes might end up a little too warm, but if I didn't put in what I did, they would be really cold. And so I'm like, well, a little warmer than ideal is probably better than really cold, and vice versa. So it's a tricky time. So I'm really careful this time of year. It takes me quite a while to figure out the heat packs because there's a lot of variables to that go into that equation. And so I'm nervous always this time of year. It's a good nervous, right? The nervous keeps me careful. And but I'm really happy with that result, because that is just a tiny bit of all the fish we sent. So we're doing pretty well. Happy to say. All right, with that, let us get to our giveaway. So the giveaway today is for an oldie but goodie. This is one of my favorites. This is one of the first Tetras I kept, one of the first Tetras I bred as a kid. It's the lemon Tetra. So nothing shocking, nothing rare, nothing expensive, but a good old perennial favorite. I think they're beautiful, they're very hardy, and they really do end up looking like this. They get this nice dark margin on the fins with like a white contrast and yellow tips and that bright red eye. And I like the shape of them when they spread their fins and kind of dance around, which they do frequently if you have a group of them. So, oh, look at that end of the green screen right there. What? So we're gonna, there we go. So, yeah, again, every now and then we give away something real expensive or something like really rare or whatever. And then sometimes as I'm walking around the warehouse, just looking at what looks good, I'm like, I know that's a common fish, but those are really looking good right now. And so that's what we do instead. So that's what it was this week, the lemon Tetra. I think they're looking fantastic. There really is no specific care instructions for these fish. These are the hardiest, easiest to keep aquarium fish ever. The only thing I will say is they're probably going to be more comfortable in groups. So that's something with almost all Tetras. But besides that, as far as they'll eat anything, they can take a wide range of temperatures, whatever your normal tropical aquarium fish temperatures are, low 70s to low 80s, they'll be fine. And hardy fish. So yeah, that's the giveaway for today. So before I do the giveaway though, I do want to show you another Tetra that you might not be aware of. This, as far as we know, is the same species, but this is the Bolivian orange lemon Tetra. It gets a lot more orange on it. And so far, I haven't seen a picture which does them justice when they actually really color, and this is getting there. But it's a nice orange body with really red to orange fins. What's interesting is it's a different population, but we have yet to see if it's a different species. So the Bolivian orange lemon Tetra, fairly new to the hobby, pretty cool fish. Just wanted to bring it to people's attention in case it's not one you knew about already. But the giveaway for today is the classic lemon Tetra. And if you would like to be entered to win, it's pretty easy. Hashtag lemon in the chat. Just enter hashtag lemon, hashtag LEMON in the chat, and you'll be entered to win. So we'll check back later on the giveaway and draw somebody lucky. All right, so that takes care of the shipping report and the giveaway. And I'd like to note, we're only 6 minutes in. That's like record time. I know Corey's live right now, so I would imagine we'll get more folks later. We have 176 here, though. That's not bad. I have to say, that's not bad for early in the stream. Yeah, glad to have you all here. Thanks for being here on this Wednesday evening. Oh, I didn't transition. There we go. There we go. So, I do have very exciting news before I get into your questions and comments. But first, Jeff Kane, thank you for becoming a member of the Fishmonger crew. Greatly appreciate it. Thanks for coming aboard. Welcome. Okay, here's our exciting news. We're doing awesome. The company's growing. We set a new sales record again this month. Our 30-day running total has never been higher. It just keeps going in the right direction. For the last 5 years, the company has doubled its revenue every year, basically. So we're still on that trajectory. It looks good. And what I'm happiest about most of all is we haven't lost sight of our mission. So for those that don't know, what we're trying to do is change the aquarium fish industry. I get really tired of friends that find out I keep fish, seen my fish and being like, oh yeah, I used to keep fish, but they all died, right? I've heard that since I was a teenager. And it really bothers me. And I've worked in all aspects of the aquarium industry and seen how fish are treated along the supply chain. And that is a big reason people are unsuccessful with fish, because fish are often treated basically like a commodity on the supply chain rather than as a living organism that deserves respect, right? When they're transported and things, they're just super crowded, and there's all kinds of issues with health that arise from being crowded like that. So I know most of you have heard this, but if someone new is watching, that's what we founded the company to do, is change that narrative. So we are trying to build a kinder, more gentler fish industry. And we're doing that a couple ways. We're sourcing as humanely as we can. We're working with suppliers who are willing to do the work to pack in less density, to try to get the fish to us at the right temperature, to make sure the fish get to us as quickly as possible. Often we buy directly from breeders and collectors, so the fish are only in transit to us a couple days rather than a couple weeks, which can be the case often in this industry. So we try to shorten the supply chain, the transit time of the fish, and make sure they're packed less densely. So on the supply side, that's what we're working towards, getting fish in that have not been damaged basically by the supply chain. That's our goal. And then here at the Dan's Fish Warehouse, every fish we bring in, we take a couple of weeks to quarantine them, observe them, get them recovered from transport, make sure they're fat and sassy and healthy before we send them to our customers. So we're not just getting the fish and flipping them, we're giving them time to recover. And then the last thing we do is when we ship them to our customers, we have developed these really humane shipping practices, which ensure that like 99% of the fish make it to the customers in good shape. It's not perfect. There never is going to be perfection when you're dealing with something as complex as a live organism like a fish. But 99% is our goal, and we're pretty much there and have been for a few years as we've developed and put these practices in place. So It's a ton of work, but that's why we do it, because we are mission driven. Quality is paramount, and by quality I mean fish health, right? That's what we're trying to do at all aspects of the supply chain, our sourcing, our housing, and our transporting the fish to our customers. That whole thing, we're trying to keep the fish healthy and happy. So we need help to do this. We're growing like crazy. We're kicking butt, but we're also getting our butts kicked. Like it's hard to keep up. So there's 2 positions that we're hiring. The first one is a Chief Fish Health Officer. So this is someone who's in charge of fish health from the moment they arrive until they're through quarantine and they're ready to send to the customer. So basically, the nutrition of our fish, feeding the fish, caring for the fish, making sure that they have what they need in the aquariums. Like if it's an autosinkless, making sure they've got some wood in there to chew on, and there's some zucchini, and there's some biofilm. If they're a pleco, making sure they have appropriate hides and things. So feeding the fish and giving them the right environment to live in so they're healthy and happy. Making sure that if it's a fish that like has long fins and can't swim well against high flow, that there's not high flow in the tank. Or if it's a hillstream loach, that air stone is cranking and they're getting the flow that they want. Like all those little details. So the first thing for this position is someone who knows fish in all their diversity. You can come in and look at a flash pleco and be like, okay, that's a pinoculus, so I know that's going to need wood in its diet, and it's going to be mostly vegetarian, but it's also going to need some protein. And so when I feed, I'm going to make sure that mix happens. And oh, they like high flow, so I'm going to make sure that air stone's cranked up high, and maybe I'll turn up the flow of the water a little bit. Things like that, so that each species gets the ideal conditions that it wants to be happy. So someone that has that vast fish knowledge. Now, granted, there's new fish for me all the time. I don't know every fish we get in. I often have to research and stuff. So there's going to be times when there's something new. So a person needs to know a lot about a lot of different fish, and also know how to find out about fish and find out their care requirements, do that research and get them set up right. So that's one thing. Another thing is this person is going to run our fish diagnostic lab. So we have a lab here. We have a microscope and do workups on the fish. So it might be gill clippings, it might be skin scrapings, it might be analysis of the intestines and what's going on internally. All that kind of diagnostic stuff happens here at our little fish lab. So you would be in charge of doing that as well. So we have help though. So there's a veterinarian, a couple of veterinarians that are willing to help out. The microscope has a camera on it, and you can take pictures of what you see or take video of what you find. And if it's like something that we're like, yeah, we're not quite sure exactly what that is, then we can send that out to some veterinarians, and they can help with the diagnosis and help if there's specific medications we need, help us acquire that and things like that. But so I mean, if we got a veterinarian, that would be amazing. That would be great. But I'm thinking more someone that is perhaps a vet tech or has worked in a lab and is very familiar with microscopes and comfortable with them. Someone in that vein. So there's as short a learning curve as possible on how to diagnose everything. I do think that we'll need to get you in the room together with the veterinarian a few times so that you can, get trained on how to do this stuff. But hopefully someone that's comfortable enough with microscopes and the processes of working up a fish and examining a fish for illnesses, that they can step in and have as small a learning curve as possible. Now that might be a tall order, so I realize that, but that's kind of the ideal candidate for this job. But whoever it ends up being, that's a big part of the job, the diagnostics of the fish health. Helping identify any disease so we can treat, so that kind of thing. So it's all about fish health. From the time they land here until the time they go out the door, you would be caring for the fish, you'd be feeding the fish, you'd be, again, setting up the proper environment for them, and also diagnosing illnesses along with the help of a veterinarian. So that is that position. I'm very excited about it. It's something we've needed for a long time, and we're to the point where we're like, yep, we really need it. So we're going to do it. So that's position number one. The second position we're hiring is a fish happiness associate. So this is someone who helps prepare fish for packing, get them all ready for shipping, helps with the shipping of the fish, and helps make sure that all that's in order so that once the fish are healthy and ready to be transported, that they're cared for properly and transported in the right way so that it's as humane as possible, as stress-free as possible, and they get to our customers in good shape. So those are the two positions. If anyone watching thinks they might be right for either of those, please send us a cover letter and resume to my email, dan@dansfish.com. That's dan@dansfish.com. And if you know anyone that you think might be right for that, then please feel free to spread the word. I do have a listing for the first of these positions right here. Let me show you at the Dansfish channel. So we go to the channel and go over to community. Where is that? Then here is the job description, the job posting for that. I hate how YouTube changes the spacing on you. Let's fix that right now. Do some editing in real time. I swear I did this, but when I saved it, it must have gone back. Okay. Is that gonna do it? Okay, did that do it? That might have done it. All right, that looks a little better. Now let's see, let's click off and then click back. All right, cool. And then we only super recently decided that we were gonna also post the second position, another fish happiness associate. And so I have not written that one up, but we are looking. So yeah, that's what we're looking for. These are full-time jobs, and we're located in Sheridan, Wyoming, and they are both in-house. I don't know how you're gonna feed fish and set up aquariums and stuff, you know, over Zoom. And I don't know how you're gonna, like, you know, catch fish and prep them for shipping and then ship them over Zoom. So these are definitely in-house positions for everyone that's about to ask if they can do this, you know, over their computer. No, I don't. The technology has not yet been invented for that. Yeah. But yeah, we need the help. We're growing like crazy, and we would love to find some good people. All right. With that, I am done spieling, and now it's your turn to spiel. So gonna get to your questions and comments. Before I do that, though, I want to thank the moderators for being here and for doing the mod thing. Thanks for keeping the chat running smoothly. Very much appreciated. I'm gonna find my first question or comment. We're gonna get into this. J. Russ, any advice on getting paradise fish, a percularis? Did I say that? A percularis? I said that really wrong. Percularis to breed. So the way I bred them was there was a 10-gallon aquarium, pretty standard setup, sponge filter in the corner, tons of floating plants, lots of floating plants like water sprite and that kind of thing. And I just fed them really well, and then they took care of business. So I think I just had a pair in there. Now, something that could help to trigger them to spawn is if you lower the temperature down to, I don't know, 60, 65, and then leave that at that temperature for a couple weeks before you bring it back up to, I don't know, 75 or 80, you know, gradually, then that might trigger them to spawn, because these guys do come from a temperate enough climate that that kind of temperate fish triggering with temperature might be helpful, but I don't think you need it. I think just keeping them in a tank with tons of floating plants and feeding them really well would do the trick. And by the way, the sponge filter, that's off in the corner and it's bubbling pretty slowly, not enough to like disturb the whole surface area, because that'll prevent them from breeding. So J. Russ, that's how I did it. That's my only advice, because that's the only way I know to do it. Okay, Sherilyn 1015. Convince me to shell out the cash for a breeding group of L174 ocelot plecos. The nice thing about L174 ocelot plecos is I don't have to convince you. They're cool enough, they'll convince you themselves. But seriously, the thing about the ocelots, in case folks don't know, this is a miniature species, and it is, as far as we know, it truly is fairly mini, topping out at, 3 inches, maybe 2.5 to 3 inches, something like that. They don't get very big. And the thing about this fish is it might be the rarest pleco we have. So the L174 comes from a very small range, just a few deep pools, and they're very deep, like 30 feet plus deep. And the flow is super rapid. So the reason they're so rare is it's almost impossible to get to them. If you're a scuba diver, you have to go down 30 feet and grab them. That's dangerous because the current is so rapid. So there's been very few times when they've been collected. And that's the reason that that fish is hard to get. But I think they're amazing. I like our breeder. I think they do a great job. And I think a nice, neat, mini rare pleco like an ocelot's pretty cool. So not trying to convince you to buy them, but just telling you kind of what I know about them. Anyone here that's bought the L174, could you tell me how big it got? A lot of folks have bought them. We've been selling them for a few years, so I'm imagining there might be some there that are about full grown. And my guess is 2.5, maybe up to 3 inches on a really big one. That's my guess, but I'd like to hear what people say. Toby R. I usually listen on the podcast. Super excited to listen live today. Well, welcome, Toby. I'm glad you could make it. I love your mission and all the power to you. Thanks. I need all the power. It's a big mission and it takes a lot of power. It's been a week. It's been a long couple weeks and really long day. A good day, but a long day. And we have got to the point where we're like, yep, it's not going to slow. So here's the thing about growth, right? It's not a line like this. It's a line like this. It's up and down as you grow. And so the danger of expanding too quickly and bringing people on too quickly is you're like, oh man, it's so busy. We got to get help. And then what if the next month it's just, it just drops below that threshold. And it's like, ooh, now we're going to have trouble like paying the bills and paying this new person and making sure we're still in okay shape. So what you kind of do when you're in the startup phase is you do everything you can without hiring until you get to the point where like, yeah, we really need to hire someone. Okay, then you do. And then things expand and grow again, and you get to the point where you're like, oh man, it's so hard to keep up. We really actually do need to hire someone. So it's that kind of thing. It's not, while you're a startup, you want to keep as much cash as you can going back into the company to help the company grow. And so it's that cart before the horse balance thing that we're always playing, and we're actually really close to getting out of startup mode. We're growing fast enough that I can see the light. I can see the light coming. Where we'll be out of that and more stable, and then it'll be a little less pressure. But yeah, we're definitely at the point now where you feel it and you're like, okay, it's been a long couple of weeks. The last few months, the growth has been going and it's not going down. It's sustained the point where we can easily afford to hire someone and not put other things at risk. Let's do it. And everyone's like, yes, please. So that's where we're at. We're at the yes, please moment, looking for the next person. Rena Mar, you are describing my dream job. I have a fisheries degree. I've worked in a lab for 20 years. Too bad you are in Wyoming. Well, Rena, how much of a dream is it if you're not willing to move for your dream? Just asking. No, I'd say that tongue in cheek. I know some people are like, well, my family's here. I'm taking care of a parent that needs care, or like there's a million different things in life. I get it. But sometimes people are like, oh, that's my dream, but you're over there. And I'm like, if all that's keeping you from your dream is a move, how strong is your dream? Unless, of course, there's real things. I get it. I get that life's messy. Sean Lancaster, I recently lost some guppies from an LFS, not dance. Okay, every time someone says that, I sweat a little bit. And it broke my wife's heart. I'm sorry. Does the guppy disease you discussed affect other live bears? I don't want to give up on the hobby. Well, don't give up on the hobby just because you sourced some guppies that didn't do well. There's lots of sources for guppies that do well. So are you talking about the virus that we found in live bears? Yeah, that affects lots of different fish. It's just we happen to find that in live bears. So yes, it's not like a disease that's, to my knowledge, it's not a virus that is only, can I look it up? Is that right? Megalocytosis? I'd have to look it up. I'm gonna get it wrong. It's a big name that, if I remember right, starts with an M. I looked on the lab report the other day and reminded myself what it was. But no, it's not specific to guppies. And Sean, it's just there's always risk when you get new fish, but there are places that do a good job. And there's a bunch of hobbyists that breed guppies. I bet there's some in your area where you wouldn't have to ship them or get them after they've gone through this meat grinder of a supply chain before they land in your pet store or whatever. I bet you could just find a hobbyist that breeds guppies and go over there or meet them somewhere, get the guppies and take them right home, and they don't have to go through all that. So that might be a good way to do it. Mr. B's CPDs. What a poet. The Pandagoras I got from you spawned earlier this year spawned tonight. I pulled the eggs, fingers crossed. That is awesome. I've yet to see that fish spawn. I would love to see that. You didn't happen to get any video, did you? Yeah, that's a fish I've never actually seen spawn, so that would be super cool. Congratulations and good luck. Yeah. Rhonda Fitzpatrick is like, I'm 1.5 years from retirement with a pension. I can't start over right now. Heard. Amen. Like, I got you. Yeah, I mean, we are a startup for sure. There's still risk. There's still a lot of hard work to do. But it's pretty exciting seeing the growth. It's also really challenging, managing everything as you grow, making sure that everyone has what they need to succeed, even when you're on like a skeleton crew for how busy you are. Like it's a whole thing. Hopefully I'm learning to do it well. Some days I wonder. Coro works. Can we get one of those robot waiter things so we can Zoom call in and catch fish? Yep. Mitchell Broom, when it comes time to open the second warehouse, Atlanta would be a pretty ideal location. Hint, hint. Yeah. Because I've actually thought about this, not because I'm planning on doing anything like this or doing anything like this soon, but I think an ideal place for this warehouse geographically would be Kentucky or Tennessee, because that's where the UPS shipping hub is and the FedEx shipping hub. So I think if I was there, right at the hub, that it would probably cost less. Shipping would probably cost less. So that's a big benefit, I think. Besides that, though, can't think of any real benefit to moving anywhere else. Well, another benefit, if we went to, I believe, Tennessee, I'd have to look, is a port of entry. So it might be easier to get fish. It might, an airport might be near me. So there are some advantages to that. But we're not close to doing anything like this, by the way. But I have thought, what would be the ideal place? The nice thing about here, though, is like if I did this anywhere else, I don't know how much red tape I'd have to cut through. Wyoming is described as one town with really long streets, right? It's a state with about 500,000 people in population in the entire state. And so you've got this little town over here, and then 100 miles away, you've got another little town, and there's little towns sprinkled all over the state. And so it's more like one community that just happens to have really long roads, one town with really long roads, than it is all these separate cities and stuff. So when I talk with the Department of Environmental Quality or Fish and Game or any of the other agencies I deal with, that's the feeling, is that it's, oh, this is my local guy I get to talk to. I don't know how difficult it would be to do this in anywhere else, but I think it would be really difficult. Just bureaucracy and red tape up the wazoo. So, but there are some things I've thought about. Now, that's way in the future if it ever happens. I have no plans to do that, but I'm always thinking about stuff like that. How to make the business better when we get to a certain point, what changes will we need to make, you know, what can we do to keep our costs down and yet keep our mission up? So, yeah, always thinking of that. Spinster sister, I need scuds. All right, Johnny, it might be time. We'll check the scud population, Spinster sister, and see if we're at a point where we can do that. Let me just make a note. The issue is we have puffers, and they like scuds a lot. Thanks, though, for the super chat, Spinster sister. Much appreciated. Tobiar joined up to the Fishmonger crew. Toby, thanks for becoming a member of the channel. Appreciate it. Cheers. You ever go too long without taking a drink, and then when you finally do, you're like, oh, this is so good. It's just water, I swear. But it's like, oh, this is so good. Rochelle R. I came home from a week-long vacation to New Mexico, found full swimming Honduran red point fry. Might you be interested? Maybe. Would you send us an email, Rochelle, so I can get some details? I like Honduran red points. I just have to do some thinking about if they're sellable on the market. They're pretty common. Yeah, I'd have to think about it. I think that might be one that might be difficult for me to sell just because it's so accessible to so many people. But it's a great little fish. I love the color. I love how peaceful they are. Yeah, it's a neat fish. Guppy Gal. Sean, I have lost guppies from local shops, but the ones I've gotten from Dan's Fish are super healthy and about to overpopulate the tank with beautiful babies. There you go. Guppy Gal might have some extras. Maybe you guys could do some business. Naomi H2O. Hey, Naomi joined up too. It's raining members. This is great. We've got 3 new members in about 30 minutes. That is good. Hey, thanks for joining up, everybody. It's such a help for us as a channel to have that little bit of residual income from YouTube memberships every month come in. Just, you know, takes the edge off. Maybe after a super long week, I can buy, you know, pizza for the crew. On a shipping day where it's like we're overwhelmed, it's like we're not going to get a lunch break. Maybe I can order pizza, you know, stuff like that. So thank you very much. Killer Kitty just gave away 5 Dance Fish memberships. Killer Kitty, thank you. That's a huge help and much, much appreciated. Appreciate it. What is Art Westwood here? Hello, Art. Hope you're doing well. Liquid Rock Aquatics. With the potential for WW3, do you fear extinction of any species in particular besides humans? My philosophy is I control what I can control, and the rest, you know. So yeah, there's tons of species though that are in isolated small areas, and one little thing could put them over the brink. A lot of Godeids are like that, a lot of killifish, a lot of bettas, a lot of fish are in that position. So those are the ones I worry about. Very limited range. And like there's fish that live in such small ranges that just an irrigation project next to them or close to them could drain their habitat completely. There was a fish called, I knew it as Cynolebus constantiae. Is it still around? It's probably got a new name. Simpsonichthyes now, okay? It's probably still around in the hobby because it's popular. This fish, this little killifish, has these really long extensions on the dorsal fin and the anal fin, which is super cool. I've kept these and bred these in the past when I had a lot of killifish. I really like these guys. But they were literally down to let me see if I can show you the habitat. One little tiny puddle in a house, like in an urban neighborhood. Let's see if I can find a picture of it. And like once you get to that point, it's restricted to temporary fresh water in Sao Joao Basin. Okay, yeah, but what about I'd have to look again, but literally that thing had one last puddle. So that's the kind of fish I worry about. Like, all that has to happen is a developer has to be like, oh, let's build more houses. Gone. Toby throwing down a super chat, pizza for the Dan's Fish crew. Hey, thank you. Thank you very much. There are definitely days when it's like, okay, that was a rough week. Here's pizza for everybody, you know? Like, it's like, I love working at this kind of thing. I love doing this, but I'm not going to lie about that it's easy. This is hard work. We work long days. We get a lot done, and there's a lot of demands, but the results are great. And that's gradually easing up, like in that you know, jagged growth pattern like I talked about. It's gradually getting to the point, we're pretty close to the point where it's getting better all the time. But startups are a grind. It's a challenge. It's a challenge. Outside In Aquatics, I'll be selling at my first fish swap at the end of November. Any tips to prepare? Yeah, clear labels are very much appreciated, especially ones that won't get destroyed if they get wet. So labeling the bags clearly would be a great start. Besides that, I mean, I've got a whole video on how we ship fish and stuff, and you do you, but that's literally the best way I know to do it. I've never seen it done better. I mean, not to toot my horn, but I literally don't. So I would suggest watching the videos on shipping fish and maybe taking some of that advice. But the thing I hate when I go to a fish swap is when, like, I can't read the labels and everything's mixed up and stuff. So that'd be my big hint for a fish swap. Bardsdale Goldens, are you going to be getting in more varieties of angelfish? Also, my shipment of fish arrives tomorrow. So excited. Bumblebee gobies. All right. I'm excited for you. That sounds great. Bumblebee gobies are fantastic. And if there's any problems at all, let us know. Oh, I do want to put, I'll get to you, Bardsdale, but that reminds me of something. This being the trickiest time to get temperatures right when we're shipping fish, it would be so appreciated if when you receive your fish, if you're able, if you'd open the box up and measure the temperature of the water in the bags. Not the top of the bags, because those are right up next to the heat pack, but we want to know the actual water the fish are experiencing. If you would be able to do that and email us and let us know, hey, I got my order, and on arrival I opened it up and here was the temperature of the water, that would be super helpful. It helped me know if I'm a little off base on the heat packs or I need to tweak something. Just having that data really helps as we kind of adjust and fine tune to changing weather. So Bardsdale Goldens, if you're willing to do that, and anyone else that gets fish from us for the next few weeks, I would chef's kiss you. That would be great. Okay, we are gonna get in some angelfish. I've been looking at some of the kind of really high-end ones. They freak me out a little bit because the price point on them is, I don't know, around 80 to 100 bucks retail, sometimes a little more. So, but I do have access to some pretty amazing angelfish. So I think if I do get more angelfish in, it's going to be more high-end type stuff. Although we have some angelfish that will be listed soon, and we brought in some wild spotted Rio Nene angelfish a couple times, and one of the customers that bought those bred them, and we bought a bunch of fry from them. So those should be out of quarantine. I think they have one more week, but they're doing fantastic. So that's a really cool wild angelfish, the Rio Nene spotted. It's pretty darn cool. All right. Moving on. Nathan Thomas, have you ever bred sumo loaches? They've bred in the tanks, but I've never raised the fry or anything like that. So I'm going to go with no. But they seem to be like, they seem to want to spawn a lot. Brian Giuseppe. And before I get to Brian, the reason I think that is because you'll see the really fat females, right? And then there'll be a bunch of activity in the tank, and the next day you'll be like, oh, the females aren't fat anymore. So I'm just assuming they're spawning. But no, I could have answered that question in one word. No. How's that? Brian, will you bring in multi-shell dwellers? I feel like it's the right kind of fish for your business, and I really want them. I want them, so therefore it's the right kind of fish for your business. I'm just teasing you, Brian. Yeah, multis are a fish that I would bring in. In fact, someone emailed us recently, didn't they, saying that they have some multis available? And again, it's been a heck of a couple weeks, so I can't remember if I got back to them or not yet. But I might have a hobbyist that's breeding those that I could get some. Oh, I know who it is. Yeah, I need to get back to them about that. Yeah, multis are something I brought in before, and I would bring in again. Let me ask this for everyone that's here. What do you think is sustainable retail prices for the multis? I want to make sure I don't get anything. A lot of those shell dwellers can be kind of costly. And so, you know, I just want to see what people think is a good fair price for multifasciatus. Rochelle, can you scroll up for my question, please? Oh, Rochelle, next time just ask the question again, because what happens is chat jumps and then it cuts me off and I literally can't scroll up. I'm blurry on Art's television. Am I blurry for anyone else, or does Art need to refresh? I'm guessing that you need to refresh, Art, or that maybe if you have a huge, like a real big screen TV or something, that things are getting pixelated. I'm not sure. What I'm looking at here is like what is that? A 8x4 inch little window on my monitor, and so it's hard for me to know what I look like on a bigger screen. But it's pretty crisp what I'm seeing here. That being said, live streams. You know, there can be latency, there can be all kinds of things. But am I looking okay to everybody? Oh, I already answered Rochelle's question, yeah. Procedural nodes 3. My bushy-nosed pleco is doing well. I'm glad to hear that. My question is feeding. He has driftwood, algae, and I do feed catfish pellets, but he doesn't seem to touch them. Is there something else he should get? Does he not touch them, or does he not touch them when you're watching? Because these guys are going to be mostly nocturnal and want to feed at night. So what I would say is if you drop in some kind of large water-stable pellet like Hikari Massivore Delight pellet or something like that, lights go out, drop that in. Come back in the morning. If it's gone, probably ate it just at night when you weren't watching. So in my experience, bushies are about the least picky fish to feed. They'll eat anything as long as it falls to the bottom where they can get to it. Then they'll eat it. One thing you could add though that they really like is if you take zucchini, cut it in a coin, stick a fork in it, and drop it down to the bottom of the tank. Excuse me. Then they'll chew on that zucchini between meals. They like that. EJ Fishes 76. How are your Blue Dream shrimp doing? Super good. Still going strong? Yeah. Looking to add to my colony. Yeah, we got those from Rick May, who has really nice shrimp, and I think we've done a pretty good job about restarting colonies to keep the blue up. So I think that the blues look really good. Rhonda Fitzpatrick, how can I keep my mollies from eating the algae wafer that I put in for my 3 new Hillstream loaches? Oh, that's a rough one. I broke it up with my meat tenderizer, but is there like a feeder for them? So there's a couple tricks. One is you have like a little cave. maybe like a flower pot saucer or something like that. And you put a hole in it, and then you put a pipe up to the top, and you drop the food through that pipe down in the cave, and then you kind of tilt the cave up so the little hill streams can wiggle under it, but hopefully the mollies don't. I mean, if they can, they eventually will, but the idea is you hide the food from the mollies and put it where the hill streams are more likely to get to it. So that's one way to do it. But hill streams need to graze, and so, I mean, another way to do it is just feed enough that even though the mollies are pigging out, there's still enough food left that the hill streams will get to it. Because hill streams aren't really fast eaters. They're, you know, they're grazers. Those are my two thoughts, Rhonda. Jacob Allen, thanks for the videos. Always looking forward to watching. Hey, thanks for watching, Alan. It wouldn't be much, Jacob Allen. It wouldn't be much of a YouTube channel, you know, if you didn't. So appreciate it very much. What can you tell me about the red notho you have? Is that the Corthade? And did I say that? Let me look at the one we've got. We recently got several nothos, so I gotta make sure I've got it. Yeah, it's the Corthaz Mafia. They're gorgeous, I can tell you that. I can also tell you that we really need to get a picture so we can show you what they look like. But they're healthy, they're happy, they're eating everything, and they're doing great. And they're gonna breed like crazy. Well, it might be worth, even though I don't have a picture. Did I mention it's been a crazy couple weeks? Let me show you what they look like. I suppose anyone can Google a fish, but these are really, really pretty. Here they are. And the ones we have, do we have a specific picture of that location? Let's find out. Okay, we'll just do Mafia. There they are. Okay, there's a collecting trip. Here's the whole article I'm going to list for you about collecting some of these nothos in the wild. That would be a good read. Bela Nagy does all kinds of collecting trips and writes all kinds of articles. It's well known. So we have the red form, though. There it is. That's what it looks like right there. That's the red form. It's a gorgeous fish. All right. But yeah, we just straight up need to get a picture for sure. But there's a lot of things we need to do, so it's like, you know, Guppy Gal, you could give it a try. Oh, she's mentioning me, not directing a comment at me. Okay, I'll keep scrolling. Chat just jumped. Of course it did. Of course it did. Scrolling here, folks. If you're listening on the podcast, I'm sorry, but chat like jumped and shoved the chats around, so now I'm trying to find where we were. There we go. There we go. Okay, Windy Fish. Getting more veil-tail, swordtail females anytime soon. Yes, Windy. We have some more now. So we're just getting them through quarantine, making sure they're all fat and sassy and ready to go, but we did bring some more in. I like that fish a lot. It is. So here's what we're talking about. If you're unfamiliar with this fish, this will blow your mind. Okay. So you look at this thing, right? And you think that's a betta. It's not. That's a swordtail. That's a female high-fin veil-tail albino pineapple swordtail. Look at these things. They're crazy pretty. The males don't get it. This is what the males look like. But if you want a, you know, true breeding project, look at that. I love this picture. Like, I think it's one of the best fish pictures I've ever taken. I really like that one. Every now and then the camera does you right, but it usually doesn't. It usually does you wrong about 1,000 times, and then it does you right once. Man, taking pictures of fish. Whew, it's a challenge. It's a challenge. Okay. Scrolling. Do you ever see Hestotis cories anywhere? I haven't been able to find them for a while now. They are very difficult to find. I do know one source out of Europe that carries them on occasion, but Hestotis are hard. How are the blueberry tetras? I don't think the blueberries are ready to sell, and we aren't quite sure what's going on. It's like their operculums are a little swollen or something, so we're worried that there's something going on with the gills on some of them. We're still trying to figure them out. Yeah, we haven't quite, and we're getting to the point where it's like, I don't know what else to try, except for time. Sometimes time and love works, but we are struggling with the blueberry tetras, Gummy Smith, and I don't know why. We've got blueberries from this breeder before several times. Not sure why they're having a hard time this time. DJ Sus. My stir-bite cories are scratching, flashing along the sand, and slime coat looking cloudy. Is that bacterial or fungal infection starting? What's the best treatment option? So, it depends. Sometimes I'll see something on a cory and I'll look and be like, oh, is that a parasite? No, it's just sand. Like, they play in the sand a lot, and sometimes it can get up on them. But if they're flashing a lot, it wouldn't hurt to try ICX as a start. So cories can get ick just fine, but you often don't see it because it's stuck up in the gills, right? It's not on their scoots or scuts or however you say the name of those armored plates all over them as much. But it concentrates up in their gills. So if they're flashing, that might be something to try. I'm no veterinarian, but one of the first medicines I go to if I have a fish that's flashing, and flashing a lot, not just that it's obviously something's wrong, especially if multiple fish are doing it, then one of the first things I go to is ICX, because it's easy, it's inexpensive, it's available, and it doesn't destroy the biofilter, right? It doesn't destroy your nitrifying bacteria populations. Also, it doesn't just treat ick, it treats a large range of parasites, external parasites on fish. So that's an easy one to use. Another good combination is praziquantel and metronidazole. That can treat a lot of things as far as kind of external parasites and parasites up in the gills. So flubendazole can treat gill flukes as well. So there's a few options, but again, I'm not a vet. I don't want to play doctor. And it's impossible for me to say, just when someone says I've got some cories and they're flashing, to know what that could be. Like, not even a vet could know what that could be until they examined them and identified the pathogen, if there is one. It could also be there was ammonia damage at some point in the supply chain and the gills are irritated, and that could be a thing as well. So it's hard for me to know. Naomi H2O, would you by any chance be interested in Laeticarda? I can never say the species name, but you'll get a laugh out of this. Araguaye? 1-inch fry, beautiful, but don't have the tank space to raise them. Let me see how our stock is on that species. I don't think we have any in right now, but I might have a couple. So we might be interested. Yeah, I'd be interested in a few of those. If you send us an email, hello@dansfish.com, HELLO@dansfish.com, then we can see if we can work something out. Just so you know, we pay 25% of the retail cost landed. So that means the cost of the fish plus what it costs to get them here to me. I need to be able to increase that 4 times for a retail sale in order to make the business work. So if it costs $1 to get the fish to me from you, that includes the price of the fish plus whatever shipping was, then I can sell it for $4. And that's the only way the business works. 1-inch Laeticara, I'm not quite sure what a fair price would be for those at that little size, but we could talk about it. I don't think, though, unless you have quite a lot of them, that it'd probably be worth it, because it's probably not going to be a whole lot for that small of a fish. Mel Wool, I think a lot of wild types are just as pretty, if not prettier, in some cases. I agree, especially if we're talking about bettas and live bearers and all that. Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's so much variety in fish. Like, think about it. Fish have been around for, like, so long. I heard somewhere recently that fish were around before trees. Is that true? Yeah, I mean, sharks have been around for hundreds of millions of years, and they ate fish. Okay. Well, were there fish before trees? Sharks are older than trees. Sharks have existed for more than 450 million years, whereas the earliest trees lived around 350 million years ago. Yeah, and fish are a lot older than sharks. So isn't that crazy to think about? Fish have been around longer than trees. So they've had so much time to diversify and become so interesting in all their variety. Like, they've had so much time to become what they are that there's so much neat stuff in the wild. Yeah, I agree. I like looking at a fish and just appreciating it, the journey it took for it to become that as it adapted to different pressures and habitats and stuff over time. Toby R, Apistos, lots of them please, all different kinds for my collection. So Toby, we have a fair number of Apistos, I think. Are we running low? All right. So we've got gold red shoulder McMasteri. We've got Trifasciata, got Hongsley, a couple of varieties of Hongsley. Urethra, I always want to say urethra, Epistogramma urethra. Urethra. Got Pandas, another version of Hongsley, McMasteri, Agassizii, Viejita, some Cockatoides, Nissan. Like, I would say we've got a decent, that's it. Here is where the stock ends. I don't know, that's a decent number of Apistos, but we will be bringing more Apistos in. We've fallen in love with them, and there's some we have Banshai too, that if they're not listed now, they'll be listed soon. Let me put a note here. Yeah. So I don't know if that tickles your fancy, but that's some Apistos. Killer Kitty. Yeah, I got it right. For a sec there, I thought I'd gone back and said Curl Kitty. Killer Kitty. Thinking about doing 2 clown killies, scarlet batis, and 2 or 3 neon blue gobies in a Fluval Flex 9-gallon. Do you see any issues with this group or size of the tank? Not with the size of the tank. That seems fine. 2 clown killies, scarlet batis, and 2 or 3. Yeah, I think that sounds great. Coro works. Leopoldi angels are hard to get a hold of as far as wild type angels. Yes, we brought them in the past. At least we think we have. You know, I trust the suppliers sometimes. Sometimes I'm not expert enough to know, but we brought them in once or twice. I do like that fish quite a bit. Beanie Baby. Hey, Dancefish, hope you are well. I purchased some of your red dragon guppies a few months back, but they have yet to have fry. Oh, they're in a super heavily planted tank. Do you think one or the other is sterile? Well, I'm assuming that we know for sure that we have a pair. But even if we didn't, that female would have been pre-hit. Like, she would have been pregnant already from all the other males. So I mean, if the female's sterile, I suppose that's a possibility. I don't think that's very common, though, especially for guppies to be sterile. So it's not what I would think of as the first possibility, but it's a possibility for sure. Yeah, it's been a few months and you have lots of plants. I don't know. Do you have floating plants? That can be really helpful. Yeah, I don't know. I hope that I hope something happens there for you. Okay, Killers Aquatics and Reptiles member for 14 months. Whew. I seem to have dropped my wrench. No, you're still wrenched. Look. Aren't you? Yeah. Yeah, I see a wrench. But I certainly didn't remove the wrench. Well, if it was gone, it's back. Welcome back, I guess. No idea what might have happened there. Okay, here we go. Mel Wool, I need 1 or 2 female golden wonder killifish to complete my pair. Which is best? 1 or 2 in a community tank, jungle tank, lots of top cover thoughts. Like, I think more is better. Golden Wonder Killies can be a little persnickety, a little aggressive, and so I think more is better. So if you can get several females for that male, which I'm assuming you have a male, then as many females as you can get, I think would be best. Yeah. Eric Y. Rock. I purchased a few red lizard whiptails a few months back, and they have oh, it just jumped. Jeez, there it is. And they have grown up to be so fat and so sassy. They are so awesome. I'm glad to hear it. And did they turn red for you? So for those that don't know, the red lizard whiptails, sometimes you'll get them and you'll be like, that's not red, but that's the juvenile coloration. Red lizard. Let me show you. When they're juveniles, aha, this is fairly clear. When they're juveniles, they can look like this. Maybe a little red coloration. Often it looks more brown than even in that, like this. See that? It's fairly brown fish, right? But don't be discouraged, because they will turn into this as they grow. Nice, fat, and red. It's just, you have that juvenile phase where they don't look like the red you would expect. That comes with time. That comes with kind of adulthood, with adulting. That comes with adulting. But I'm glad that yours have grown up nice and fat and sassy, and hopefully nice and red as well. N4279, can I keep an Amazon puffer in a 10-gallon cube? Well, I wouldn't personally. I don't want to tell you how you should keep fish, but the thing about Amazon puffers is they might get up to 3 inches, maybe a little more. You know, they're not a massive fish, but they're a pelagic fish, kind of, meaning they like to swim a lot. Now, they're in the Amazon River, so they're not like open ocean, but they're strong swimmers, and they undergo large spawning migrations, and they're used to swimming against the current, so they're wanderers. They want room to roam and to swim. So for me, I don't think that a 10-gallon setup is adequate for fish of that nature. Fish Hunter, I mentioned the multis. It was a couple of months ago. Unfortunately, I lost most of the fry. Oh, I say at retail, they go for 15 to 20 each, maybe a bit more. Yeah, that sounds about right, too, in my experience. Zui, the battle corgi. the battle corgi. I just picture this corgi with a cape, like flying through the air. That's great. You're clear for me on a 45-inch TV. Yeah. Usually it's like a connection issue, or you know, some latency in your local area, or need to refresh. Fishing outdoors with Lando. Wow, man, I about gave up on the betta breeding, but finally a miracle helped me out, and I just made my night so much better. Hey, I'm glad to hear that. Glad to hear that. You know, when you try to do something, and finally have some success, that's a sweet moment for sure. All right, we're going to do the giveaway. I think there are 303 folks here. Thanks for being here, everybody. Hey, for those that just joined, earlier in the stream, I talked about 2 positions we're hiring. One is a Chief Fish Health Officer, which you can find out about in our community tab on the YouTube channel here. And another one is a Fish Happiness Associate. So one person in charge of fish health, feeding, maintenance, helping us diagnose disease in the fish, make sure they're healthy and all that. And the other one is helping us prepare fish properly for shipment, make sure they're all in good shape, and then ship and package the fish. I guess the order would be package and ship the fish. So if those are something that you're interested in, please send your cover letter and resume to hello@dancefish.com. That's HELLO@dancefish.com. We would love to get, when you're trying to, okay, have you ever opened up a lemonade stand as a kid and no one came by, right? Versus when you open up your lemonade stand as a kid and like there's tons of people coming buying your lemonade. Like when you're trying to hire you want the tons of people buying your lemonade, right? It always, maybe this is from like my theater background. Like there's so many folks that work so hard to put on the show, and like no one comes. It's like, oh, you forgot about the marketing. You know, it's like, it's just so discouraging though when you put in all that work. So if you are on the fence about applying, if you're like, oh, I might not quite be right or whatever, we want the crowd at the lemonade stand. Like I'll be the judge if I want to learn more about you or not. So feel free to apply. Worst that can happen is we don't contact you. Like that's the worst that can happen, right? You turn in the resume and we don't get an interview. That's it, but you never know. You never know. Okay. Ooh, where was I? What was I on about? See, I was about to talk to someone. Yeah. Who was it? I don't know. Oh, Dan is letting me know that didn't check the temperatures yesterday, but the packs were still warm. Good, good. I think it's good unless it was really hot outside. Spinster, you look marvelous, and so do those big fish behind you. Aren't those awesome? Those giant emperor tetras and the electric blue Jack Dempsey's. I think they're beautiful. Greg Gall, my LFS sells young adult multis for about $20 each. Okay. That is good to know. Keystone Clash, hello. Hello, right back at you. Look at this. Look at that, Keystone Clash. Hope you're doing well. I'm assuming that's Scotty. If that's Scotty, hello. If it's not Scotty, hello anyway. $19.99 for multi, says Brian. Yeah. 20 to 25 for multis. Okay, so 15 to 25, somewhere in that range. I think, yeah. It sounds about right. It's just like at a fish club meeting or fish swap, like people get overrun with them, right? And they basically give them away. You're looking a little yellow on my screen. Nobody calls me yellow. Oh yeah, I was going to do a giveaway. Let's do the giveaway for a nice group of lemon tetras, the classic lemon tetra. One of my favorites, one of the earliest tetras I kept and bred as a kid. I love the black margins, the white that contrasts with it, and the yellow and the bright red eye. I just think they're a nice, like this picture. They really do look this good a lot. So we have a group that's doing good, looking fantastic. We'll send some to you. And the winner of that group is... Hey, Ray's Fish Room. Congrats, you've won. Ray, you have 2 minutes to chime in. Let us know you're here because you do have to be present to win. I'm going to set my timer here for 2 minutes. There it goes. I'll check back in a bit and see if you've replied. So you got to claim your winnings, Ray, just leave a comment in the chat. Let us know you're here. We'll go from there. Arctic Ram, I just built a 10-gallon rack, but I don't want to heat all the tanks, okay? Any cool breeding ideas that can take cooler temperatures around 68? Yeah, absolutely. Now, there's a lot of temperate fish that the trigger for them to breed is when the water warms up to, gets over about 65. They'll breed at 68. A lot of the native species. So I look into rainbow shiners. I look into, there's all kinds of orange throat darters. There's amazing neat fish in our backyard. I would start there. Nathan Hovey, if you had to guess how many pounds of food do you use on a monthly basis and how many pounds of zucchini? I have no earthly idea. I know when we buy the food, it comes in big boxes and we get stacks and stacks of them. But, you know, dry food, it doesn't take a lot of, if you're feeding flakes and pellets and wafers and stuff, it doesn't take a lot of that to fill up a lot of fish. It's pretty concentrated nutrition. And zucchini, I don't know how many pounds. It's not like big boxes of zucchini. I just go to Walmart every now and then and stock up. We've got a fridge we keep all that stuff in, but I don't really know. Killer Kitty throwing out a $5 super chat and punching me in the face with a fox cat, just like Chattanooga Ed would. Thanks, Killer Kitty. Hope you're doing well. Mel Wool. Oh, I already got that one. Okay. N4279. I think my Amazon puffer has ick. It has slightly raised white dots all over him. What do you think for treatment, or is it something else other than ick? I mean, I couldn't tell without looking at it, but the good news is that IckX typically treats the two most common things that are like that, which would be ick or epistylis. So the way we generally treat those is, here's what I would do if I had something, didn't know if it was ick or epistylis, is I'd turn off the light and I'd stop feeding. I would put in 5 grams of salt per liter in the water, dissolve it in so you aren't creating this big salt pile on the bottom that is hypersaline and could hurt your fish. Just dissolve it in. And then I would treat with IckX for like 2 weeks. If it went away before 2 weeks were up, then I'd be like, it was ick. If it took 10 days to 2 weeks, then I'd be like, it was epistylis. But both are treated more or less the same way. Again, not a doctor, but this is just what I would do if that was my fish. Okay, Toby R. I'm building a new fish room. That sounds like happiness to me. Congratulations, Toby R. I hope I can ask you for some info and get some of your experience. Yeah, ask away. That's what we're here for. Go ahead, Toby, ask. Also, I have a whole video series, like a couple of them, on the website. On the YouTube channel. So when I built my basement fish setup, I made a whole video series of how I did it. When I built my garage, same thing. And when I built this big fat warehouse here, same thing. So there's literally a ton of information out there. So digest that before you ask. Otherwise, I'll probably respond with like, well, that's in the videos. But once you've watched those videos, and if you still have, specific questions, then yes, I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to answer here in the chat too. Adam McReynolds, would it be safe for me to feed frozen shrimp from the grocery store as a treat to my juvenile Fahaka puffer, or should I just keep sticking to snails? Absolutely, you can feed shrimp to your fish. I wouldn't overfeed it because there's stuff in shrimp that you don't want to overfeed. I forget the name of the thing. So you don't want it to be like the sole food for them, but as a treat every now and then and part of a big variety, then sure, absolutely. I would. Toby R, yes, you got some apistos I do not have yet, but have to finish my new fish room build to have more tanks. But then there will be a lot of new empty tanks available. Oh, I hear what you're saying, Toby. Toby's looking forward to the completed fish room and saying, and then I'm going to need all the apistos. Vibes Aquatics. Hey, Vibes, I hope you're doing well. It was great to meet you at the Keystone Clash. I had a great time there. I hope you did too. Great live stream, bro. Me off to bed. Bye. Hey, bye right back, and thanks for watching. Fish Fam Link gifted 5 memberships. Thanks for sending those to the members. Appreciate it. Thanks for the giveaway. Can't even talk. Thanks for giving away memberships. How's that? I need a drink. Okay. Dan says, Dan, you're crying for help a lot. I'm worried for you. Oh, man, I need all the help. I'm like Donkey and Shrek. You're like, how are you? Oh, man, where do I start? No, not really. We do need help with the business, though, yeah, for sure. As we grow, we need more and more. Okay, looking here. Burns Aquatics. Hey Dan, should I return some swordtails I initially bought for a 29-gallon community tank? I failed to realize how very large they grow. Thanks, I got them at PetSmart. If you feel that they're overcrowded, I think that a few swordtails could be perfectly happy in a 29-gallon. Oh, it's a community tank, so they're getting too big for the other fish probably. Like swordtails could be okay in a 29 long term, but they might be bullying your other fish. Yeah, I mean, or, if you have another tank for them or whatever, but yeah, large swordtails in a community might not get along with every other species, so might be time to separate them. Mel Wool, can I get confirmed female golden wonder killies from you? I have no idea where to get them. I don't have any. I used to keep them, but now I can't find a good supplier. I've tried them a couple times fairly recently, and wasn't good. So I am not planning on getting any more in anytime soon. So when that happens, I have to either find a new supplier or wait till the supplier fixes whatever issue, and then I can reorder them. So I kind of, giving it time is usually the way to go. So I don't have any mail, and I don't think I'll have any anytime soon. Nathan, would Buenos Aires and Colombian Tetras be okay with angels in a 60-gallon or either of the Tetras? I don't have to put both in if better for the angels. So if between those two, my selection would be the Colombian. I think they're a little less nippy, but I think the Buenos Aires and Colombian would be okay together with angels, provided you don't have like veil tail angels. And if your angels have like big veil fins, then I think the Buenos Aires Tetras are going to be tempted to nip at them. Yeah, you might be okay with the Colombian Tetras, but it'd be a little bit risky in my opinion. Anyone here tried that? Has anyone here kept Buenos Aires Tetras? I've never tried the combination, but anyone kept Buenos Aires Tetras with angels? And if so, did you have a problem? But, you know, they can be a bit nippy. Oh, I forgot to check on the giveaway. So the winner is Ray's Fish Room, and Ray did respond, so Ray has won. Ray, congratulations, you're the winner. If you would send us an email to hello@dansfish.com, that's HELLO@dansfish.com, then we will get your fish sent to you. We need your first name, your last name, and your mailing address so we know who we're sending them to and where we're sending them. Otherwise, it's really hard to make a shipping label. Brian, do you hold back fish to grow them out to get pics for your website? I think a take like that would also make a good video. Very occasionally, like the fish behind me, the electric blue jack Dempsey's, we're kind of growing those out, but usually no. And it can be hard because there's several fish we get, especially some rainbow fish, that don't develop their color while they're itty bitty, and we sell them while they're itty bitty. Like we sell them before they grow enough to really show their true color. So it makes it really hard to get good pictures for the website. But taking months to grow out a fish just for a picture would be very difficult for us. We kind of need all the tank space we have just to try to keep up with demand, to tell you the truth. Okay, to apply for the jobs that we're hiring, hello@dansfish. Actually, for the resident, you can send them to hello@dansfish.com. That's fine. But those you can send directly to me as well, dan@dansfish.com. Either one is fine. Either one is fine. Wow, that was like a lot of chatting without anything for me. I scrolled for a while without seeing any orange. All right, but I'm finally seeing one here. There we go. Nope. There it is. Nope. Here we go. Nathan, when you build all the stands, did the fire marshal give you any gripe about them being wood? A LFS had to change all the stands to metal because the fire marshal didn't like wood. Wow. I don't know what dystopian world you live in, Nathan. That's horrible. No, like, if I was a bookstore, could I not have wood bookshelves? No, I didn't have any problems. That sounds silly to me. Timotheus Lay. I have 2 autosinkless, 10 CPDs, and 5 Amano shrimp in a 9-gallon. Is this too much livestock? 2 autos, 10 CPDs, and 5 Amano shrimp. I don't think so. It totally depends on how you keep fish, though. Are your water parameters in good shape? Then you're fine. None of those fish need a ton of room to roam. Those, I think, would be fine in a 9-gallon. As long as you're able to keep the water clean and all that, then that actually sounds pretty good to me for a 9-gallon. Fluffy Cow Aquatics. Hey, Fluffy, hope you're doing well. Thank you for the stream. From the others' ideas of town. Oh, from the other side of town, maybe? 2-hour mountain roads, yeah. Basically what Fluffy Cow's saying is, yeah, Wyoming's a small town with long roads. Yep, Fluffy Cow's my neighbor. He's just 2 hours down the mountain, over the mountain. That's how it is in Wyoming. Oh, you're 2 hours away. Hey, neighbor. It's a funny state. Janie Lee, where did you get the giant marbles? Oh, I think like the 99-cent store would be my guess. We fancy. We shop at the Dollar Tree. Chat break, liking the new fish rating videos. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Thanks. Yeah, we have some more that we're planning to do. Also doing a video soon on the nitrogen cycle. I know it's been done to death, but I've found some really interesting research on it, and I think it'd be interesting to do it. I think I found a way to do that video so it isn't the same thing that like we've seen 1,000 times, but would still benefit someone new to fish keeping. So, yeah. And I think with the new information, it could be interesting too to folks that have been keeping fish forever, because there's some really neat studies out there on nitrogen in aquariums. Yeah, a couple of, there's some others coming up as well. Okay, yeah, I thought it was kind of silly they made the store change to metal stands. Like, all this water will aid in putting out any fire. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I suppose there could be a thing where maybe they had certain things connected to the wooden stands. It would be an issue. Some equipment that could be a fire hazard or something. Maybe it's something like that. I don't, no clue. But no, I didn't have any problem. Christopher Champ, any suggestions for aggressive samurai? Your samurai gouramis are aggressive? Man, I tell you what, you learn something new every day. I have kept samurai gouramis for a long time. I don't think I've ever seen a samurai gourami bug anybody. Has anyone here experienced that? If you've kept samurai gouramis, have you ever seen them be aggressive? Like, in my experience, that's one of the most peaceful, kind of chill gouramis ever. Wow. So Christopher, I don't have any suggestions. I've never even heard of that, let alone seen it. I'm not calling you a liar. I'm just saying I had no idea. Fluffy Cow Aquatics, any chance for volcano tetras? Let's see. I don't know if I know what a volcano tetra is. Well, Google's not throwing up anything obvious. So do you have a scientific name? Because I'm not sure what is meant by volcano tetra. Okay. Let's see here. I'm just waiting for a moment to see if anyone else has had any aggressive samurai gouramis, because I'd be fascinated to know if this is something that happens. Christopher, I have a female being aggressive and dominant to the 4 others I got from you recently. Wow. I mean, the females are the ones that initiate the breeding. So you might have a female that just wants to breed. Is she just going and displaying and trying to get the boys' attention? Or is she like really beating them up? Huh. Well, Christopher, I don't know. I mean, I guess the same thing with any other fish that's aggressive, which would be lots of line of sight breaks, maybe lots of cover, big clump of Java moss in the corner, something like that. But yeah, that's a new one to me. Green tea, are Sulawesi shrimp hard to keep? Not in my experience. In my experience, they are just as easy as cherry shrimp. Like, they breed like crazy. We don't do anything, we don't treat them any different than we do cherry shrimp. They're in a tank. We have a tank. We happen to put some Sulawesi shrimp in it and we feed them. Like, maybe put a little wood in there, maybe a little Java moss, for them to chew on. Maybe a leaf every now and then. But actually, we don't even do the leaf very often. So, in my experience, they're super easy. I think that the issue with Sulawesi shrimp is the vast majority of them are imported from the wild, and that can be rough on them. But if you can, especially if you can get ones that are bred and raised in aquariums, I think they're really tough. Mr. Penguin, is a 20-gallon high big enough for a school of cardinal tetras? Currently have 7 clown killifish up top and 6 stir-by on the bottom. I don't know the exact dimensions on a 20-gallon high, but I'm going to say maybe, and the reason is I like my cardinal tetras in a big school, like a couple dozen at least. And I think that might be a bit of a stretch to get that many in a 20-gallon, especially when they're full grown. But that's just because I like to keep them in big groups. So, I mean, that's my personal thought. But I'm not the guy that tells people how to keep fish. I'm not going to tell you, do this, don't do this. There's a million ways to keep fish and a million different reasons why people keep them different ways. So my Amazon puffer is lonely and needs teeth cut for the second time. This fish needs to be in the wild. Well, I think they make great pets, the Amazon puffers. You do have to keep up on the teeth. Someone said recently that they fed extreme, what did they feed? They fed a food, and and they haven't ever had to trim their Amazon puffer's teeth, and they've had them for a long time. Someone remember what that was? It was one of the extreme foods, one of the hard pellets. I forget what it was. Let me see if I can find it real quick, because that would be maybe a solution for you. Extreme fish food. Okay, extreme fish food. If I can just see their catalog, I think it was Big Fella. Let me just check here. I think so. There was someone that's had Amazon puffers long term that feeds this frequently. I believe I have this right. Feeds the extreme Big Fella. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. And that they've had them for quite a while and have never had to trim the teeth. All right. Oh, Fluffy Cow is saying that the Volcana Tetra is Hemigrammus coruleus. Or coruleus. Yeah, I think some people call it the watermelon Tetra and some other things. I do like that one a lot. When I find a supplier that has them at a price that I think would work, then I'll get them. I have seen them a few times on the list, but the price was so high that I didn't pull the trigger. I just didn't think that the market would support that high a price, so I didn't. But yes, I can get them. I just haven't found the right situation yet to bring them in. All right, I think we're going to cut it off there. Thanks, everybody, for watching. I want to thank my moderators for being here and doing the mod thing. Really appreciate it. Like, week after week, you guys show up, you volunteer your time, you don't ask for anything in return. I just really appreciate that. Thanks so much. And some of you have been doing it for years, and you're still here doing it. Like, just thanks. Everyone that's a member of the Fishmonger crew, thanks for being a member of the channel. Much appreciated. If you threw money at us in the form of a super chat, thanks for the money. If you threw out memberships, if you got memberships for other people, that's awesome too. Thank you for giving memberships out. Much appreciated. I think I've said much appreciated too much in this sign off. That'll be my sign off. And much appreciated times 10. Goodbye, right? Okay, where am I? Super chats, Oh yeah, if you are lurking, thanks for lurking, hail the Lurker Nation. If you're active in the chat, thanks for participating, making it lively. If you're watching the replay, hello from the past. And if you're listening on the podcast, thanks for listening. Okay, I got through it. We'll be back next week, same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, have a great night, everybody. Bye-bye.